I was the first South Asian lead ever of an American TV show. I mean, that's absurd to me. It just blew my mind that the concept of a brown person being a lead in a mainstream show, not a genre movie or not an independent movie, but like a mainstream multi-million dollar show or movie, it just didn't exist. And that was my impetus. The byproduct and the bonus of it is hopefully young girls or boys or immigrants that come into America will not feel so alone. Like The White Tiger, for example, my movie, it's an all Indian star cast, and it's the #1 movie worldwide on the largest streaming platform in the world. That's an all Indian star cast. To me, it's historic. And I'm so happy to be able to be at the helm of that, because I know it will change things for people like your daughter to see themselves represented in normal situations, in powerful jobs, in whatever they consume.
You've been very proud to be Indian, right? And it seems as though you're very proud wherever you go that is who you are. That is, your nationality. It's how you were brought up. And you spent a lot of your time growing up in India. I know you came to America for a few years in your teenage years. I'm someone like many second generation immigrants. I hate terms like that, but I guess that is what I would be defined as, is, my mum and dad came here from India and I'm born and brought up here. People like me often have a real conflict of identity, particularly in our teenage years, where we have all our Indian cultures and practices at home, and then we've got our Western friends at school, and there's this real clash of cultures. And it takes, often in our teenage years, it's not that we're embarrassed to be Indian, but we almost want to suppress that down so we can fit in with the world around us. And it's when we get a bit older and more secure in ourselves, like now I am so proud to be of Indian backgrounds. I'm so proud to actually talk about these things and share these things. Whereas I don't think in my teenage years I would openly do it because I would be scared of being judged. Now, how does that play out for you? Because you've been born and brought up in India, yet you've gone around the world, you've been in America, you've conquered the Indian film industry, now you're taking on Hollywood. And I'm interested, how has your experience been as someone who's not from America natively, yet now has a home and a house there? Is there anything from that you can share? Because I'm interested, where does that strong secureness come from? Because I certainly didn't have it.
I didn't have it when I was in high school at all. I was bullied because of the fact that I was Indian. I was
in America. This is I was in America from not 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade. So very formative years of my life. But I was made to feel extremely different and sort of aware of my ethnicity. And I would try not to be Indian at all either. I was embarrassed as well. Exactly probably how you're talking. It was just confusing to me because I was made to feel like I was different and I needed to fit in. And the only way to fit in would be to be American and speak like that and dress like that and not be Indian and not talk about Diwali and not eat my Indian achars and all the things, right? And as a teenager, I felt that too. But when I started working in the entertainment industry, and I started specifically when I came to America and I started looking for work in America, and I kind of figured it out why we felt that way, why brown kids, and so many of us around the world, right? Outside of India, there is such a large South Asian population in Britain, in everywhere, in every part of the world, because of colonization. A lot of us moved for opportunities. A lot of us were moved. So I realized that we are 1/5 of the world's population, right? But think about pop culture and seeing the representation of ourselves in pop culture.
we only saw ourselves represented in Indian culture, right? So only the Indians who knew Indian do movies, and we were only stuck to our community. Who did we see in at least in American pop culture where I was growing up? It was just Apu in the Simpsons. I never saw a brown girl on TV or the lead of a mainstream show or on the cover of a magazine. So when I was told that, you're different and you're weird, I believed it because I didn't see anyone like me as a teenager. And that became such a big impetus for me when I joined entertainment, that I want to see brown people in mainstream entertainment, in English language mainstream entertainment as leads, not as a check in the box, not as an important character, but as leads, as running the show, because that's what's going to normalize for young girls out there, is when you see me or someone who looks like me playing Holy on Jimmy Fallon, when you're like, oh, Holy is a cool thing, Jimmy's playing it. It normalizes who we are. And we have not had the opportunity to do that. And our generation needs to do it.
Here. I agree. I sort of second what you say so much. And Priyanka, you said about children, and my daughter's 8, and she was saying yesterday, so Daddy, how many podcasts you've got this week? I said, well, I've got 3, darling, this week. She goes, well, who are you talking to tomorrow? I said, well, it's this lady. She's called Priyanka. So, well, what does she do? And I said, well, she's an actor. She's a musician. She's a writer. She's a producer. And it was so great to be able to show her that, hey, you know what? That's somebody who kind of looks like you in terms of your skin color and your hair color. And she's not sticking in one box. She's doing anything she wants. And I think it is inspiring when people see, particularly because you're a woman as well. And I'm aware that we have lived and still do in a very male-dominant world. So I think doing what you're doing is so inspiring. Did you realize how inspiring it was when you were doing it? Or has that come from feedback from people telling you, you make me think this is now possible?
That's absolutely not the reason why I do it. I'm not someone who's looking to inspire people. I'm looking to change something, not just for myself. But I feel like that is where I'm going to be of most use in this world, is if I can contribute towards the arts in a way that has pushed the goalpost for us. And only because when I came here 5-6 years ago, when I did my TV show Quantico, I was the first South Asian lead ever of an American TV show. I mean, that's absurd to me. And unfortunately, Hollywood is predominantly global entertainment. It is consumed everywhere, right? English language entertainment. And how is it just blew my mind that the concept of a brown person being a lead in a mainstream show, not a genre movie or not an independent movie, but like a mainstream multi-million-dollar show or movie, it just didn't exist. And that was my impetus. It's not for, the byproduct and the bonus of it is hopefully young girls or boys or immigrants that come into America will not feel so alone. I know if I was in high school and I saw maybe, I don't know, some TV show of Buffy the Vampire Slayer may have been, a brown girl, I would have felt a sense of self, maybe. I wouldn't have felt so isolated in those hallways in my high school. And I'm hoping, because pop culture is consumed so large, I'm hoping with other people, like The White Tiger, for example, my movie, it's an all Indian star cast, and it's the #1 movie worldwide on the largest streaming platform in the world. That's an all Indian star cast. To me, it's historic. And I'm so happy to be able to be at the helm of that, because I know it will change things for people like your daughter to see themselves represented in normal situations, in powerful jobs, in whatever they consume.
I completely agree. And I think people who've never experienced that actually just have no idea what that feels like.
I think that's what it is. There's it's people who haven't experienced it.
They don't, I remember as a kid, as in many Asian immigrant families, there are kind of 3 options available to you are medicine, law, or engineering. That is your reality. I became a doctor. I said to people, you know what? In some ways, it's no big deal because all I was surrounded by were doctors. That was my norm. So, of course, that is one of the things that I ended up doing. But this goes so far, what you say. I mean, I've said this a couple of times on the podcast before. I checked just before we started. In the UK, in the top 50 podcasts at the moment, I'm the only non-white host in the top 50. So
Wow.
there's which is incredible in 2021 that we're still saying that. I didn't realize how powerful this stuff is. I've just been following my own path in my own career. Other people send me messages saying, "Hey, Rongan, listen, it's so great seeing you be an author and a doctor and a TV presenter and this, and it makes me think I'm going to try and go for one of those things now, like people younger."
Exactly.
And it gives you a buzz, right? You go, "Oh wow," and you must get this all the time from people.
I mean, I really just think that for the ones who have been given this opportunity, like you, like me, it is our job to make the table larger. It is our responsibility to bring to fore how important representation is. And I swear to God, I did not know this till I started looking for a job outside of my country. I didn't think about it as much.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I didn't even think about it. But when I came back to America and I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm not a check in the box. Why can't my dream be like everyone else's dream? And, I'm a bold girl. I like breaking down doors. So I went in there charging. And that's going to be our responsibility, people just seeing the fact that you're doing what you're doing and other people who are sort of South Asian and saying, I'm going to make sure that our next generation doesn't inherit those three options, because we're living in, in a time of information. We have so much information that an idea can become a career. You just have to find a gap in the market. What is it that you want to do? It doesn't have to be just doctor, engineer, or lawyer, because even that was my options too. I was studying engineering. And then my life just pivoted into the arts. And I realized that I could do that. I could find business in that. I could find opportunities in that. And that could become a vocation. Yeah. And I would love to open up that world of possibilities to parents, specifically South Asian parents who feel like, instability when their kids sort of, pivot from the stable sort of jobs. But this is a time, a generation where ideas are present, and we need to let our kids sort of dream.
Press subscribe to get more inspiration and ideas on how to feel better so you can get more out of life. And if you have a moment, why not check out this conversation that I've picked out as a perfect follow-up. Remember, lifestyle change is always worth it, because when you feel better, you live more.